Good morning, everyone. My name is Eduardo Madatello, and I'm going to present the article entitled Does Entrepreneurship Make You Happier? A Comparative Analysis Between Entrepreneurs and Wage Earners. The author of this document are Rafael Ravina-Ripoll and Maria José Foncubierta Rodriguez from the University of Cadiz in Spain, myself, Eduardo Madatello from Autonomous University of Baja California in Mexico, and Luis Bayardo Tobar Pesantes from Salesian Polytechnic University in Ecuador. The overview of this presentation is as follows. We're going to talk about the abstract, the introduction, literature review, methodology, results, conclusions, and references. In the abstract, we are talking about currently H is characterized as, on the one hand, by the existence of governance systems that are gradually eroding the welfare state, and on the other hand, by the implementation of business management models based on precarious work and a massive reduction of jobs. The importance of this article that aims to analyze the degree of happiness perceived in the group of Spain's entrepreneurs as opposed to that perceived by the employees, and try to understand if that happiness is associated with certain socio-demographic variables such as gender, level of studies, and income level. For this purpose, a brief literature review of the economy of happiness is carried out. This evaluation of the available work considers studies performed in the past few years regarding the happiness-entrepreneurship connection. And second, a comparative analysis of means is carried out depending on the case. Simple logistic recreation may be used. The data provided by the Sociological Research Center, that is located in Spain, is a barometer survey from September 2018, used as the primary source. The main results show that entrepreneurs with employees are happiest. When happiness is analyzed about the socio-demographic variables, the association only appears in entrepreneurs' case without employees in this sense. The most stable results are found among groups of employees. When the null hypothesis is rejected, the categories that seems to show the most happiness are those which have higher education and those which are in the income wages analyzed. Among the main limitations in this work is the scarcity of bibliographic production on the subject matter of the paper. Precisely, this paper helps to cover part of this gap. In the future, it will be interesting to develop a line of research to empirically explore the mediating, moderating, and possible complications effects of socio-demographic and economic factors on the happiness of these specific producing agents in the entrepreneurs, specifically in the era of 4.0 and post-COVID-19. Introduction. A considerable number of researchers have carried out numerous studies focused on exploring the holistic relationship between entrepreneurship, self-employees, and well-being. This is like a motivation for people to try to become entrepreneurs and work for themselves instead of being employees of some other person or firm. As a common denominator, many of these investigations contextualize the term well-being as being synonymous with the word happiness and quality of life. So happiness, it is a synonym about the term well-being, specifically the term subjective well-being, that is a perception of the self-well-being. Increasingly, happiness studies all over the world have been carried out because happiness is now an issue that is a part of the possible successful of the company, and therefore the people are trying to understand what makes some person happier and how can we improve the perception of happiness, and then the implementation of internal policies into the companies so the people working in those companies perceive a more happy stage of their lives and being more have more satisfaction with what they are doing. Entrepreneur, there has been no definition in the term entrepreneur or self-employed individual between the years 1950 and 2019 that even remotely consider the fact that the motivational factor of happiness is strongly relevant in a holistic sense and can induce human beings to be academic, social, or opportunity-based entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs is an action So no, not everyone wants to have the characteristics to become an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs need to achieve several or overcome several difficulties and have the motivation and the fully intention to overcome those barriers to become a successful entrepreneurs. So not everyone is going to be a successful entrepreneur. So what makes happier entrepreneurs? No? Other studies have focused on indicating that entrepreneurs tend to have a higher rate of happiness than the average group found medium and large business. This is mainly because entrepreneurs are very satisfied with the performance of their jobs, because they have a high degree of professional freedom to make decisions linked to the strategic direction of their organization. This is the positive orientation to analyze happiness on entrepreneurs. But we have to understand that there are sometimes when the people doing these activities, they have problems to become successful, and then they need to have a lot of motivation. Entrepreneurs and wage earner. This article originated with the desire to contribute to empirical research on this particular scientific construct, as well as the idea of recognizing the happiness variable as an intangible resource that has great importance with regard to people's will to be future social, academic, or opportunity-based entrepreneurs. So it is important to understand what makes someone happy, and if the personal freedom that we expect from an entrepreneur's activity is going to be available in the short term, or it's going to be a long term before we get to that liberty to do whatever we want, or to have more freedom of our own decisions. Entrepreneurs and wage earning. There is a need to consider the working hypothesis proposed in the following pages to analyze potential association between being an entrepreneur and the degree of happiness experience, as well as the association between perceived happiness and some of the sociodemographic characteristics. So we want to know if entrepreneurs have happiness perception and also the happiness perception of wage earners. Our hypotheses are as follows. There is a relationship between the type of professional situation and happiness. Those types are employee, business person, self-employed, cooperative, etc. That is, there is an association between the different employment categories represented by the variable of professional situation and the value given to that variable that measures the degree of perceived happiness. The average of the distribution for each category are not similar. H2. Hypothesis 2. There is a relationship between being an entrepreneur and feeling happier. There is an association between having one's own business and the value given to the variable that measures the degree of perceived happiness. Our methodology, we obtain a sample from the population of 90 with an error of 95.5, the sampling error for a 95.5 confidence level, and P equal Q. The CIS, or it is the Sociological Research Center. A survey was carried out by means of a questionnaire that was developed in the homes of the people interviewed. The Sociological Research Center, which in Spanish means Centro de Investigaciones Sociológicas, performs 2,972 people of both sexes. Those are the sample. And between them are entrepreneurs, we ask about the entrepreneurs, the professional situation, gender, income level, and degree of happiness. These are the variables used. Professional situation, which has one question, P38, the questionnaire item, professional situation of the participant, and those are the 7 different categories that particular variable could have. Fixed salary, temporary employees, entrepreneur, professional, family assistant, member of a cooperative, or other situation. Also, question P30, gender, male and female. Level of studies, what is the highest level official study that you have, from 0, less than 5 years schooling, to 14, university postgraduate degree. Income level for question P41 is in which section is your personal income after tax deduction, that is to say your net income, and that you can see the various range of the questions. Degree of happiness. In general terms, to what extent do you consider yourself a happy or an unhappy person? 0, completely unhappy, and 10, completely happy. So it is a question of perception. Our results show the next. By refining the data and by eliminating the answer, don't know, not determined from the variable P6 and the variable P38, a sample of 2,928 records was obtained. The data was processed with IBM SPSS statistical software. Categories 5, 6, and 7 are removed from the sample because they have a very small number of records, leaving 2,912 records in total. Category 1 and 1,752. Category 2, 613. Category 3, 136. In Category 4, 411. After checking the data with the Kolmogorov, Smirnov, Nafter, and Shapiro-Wilk methods, we conclude that the data have non-normal distribution. We can see the numbers, all the numbers with a valid, significant statistical value, and also the levels of freedom and the statistical value for Kolmogorov, Smirnov, and Shapiro-Wilkins that validate that they don't have normal distribution. The table, degree of happiness by category of employment. The table below shows that for each score 6 to 10 on happiness, the ones that imply that the person feels a sense of happiness for moderately, 6 to completely 10. The highest percentage are not always found in the groups of entrepreneurs. In addition to the number of cooperatives, the highest percentage now were found in the groups in addition to the members of cooperative who account for 100% of the values 6 and 10. The highest total percentage of these values is found among entrepreneurs and professionals with employees, 89.8%. That you can find it in here. These are the persons with employees, 89.8%, and fixed salary, 87%. This is fixed salary with 87%. Degree of happiness by category or employee situation. In the figure, we can show that it's precisely category 3, employees with happiness, employees with employers with employees, that offer such differences. The result of the DMS post hoc test showed that these differences are between category 3, entrepreneurs and professionals with employees, and category 2, casual employees, the 0.572 points in the average, with a significance of 0.1% error. Between category 3 and category 1, fixed employees of 0.385 points next to 1% error, and between 3 and category 4, professional or self-employed without workers, the 0.363 with significance of 5% of error. And then relationship comparison of the entrepreneur with employees category and the other categories. We can find here that the values of degree of happiness from 8 to 10, we can also encounter that there are 85.8% depending on the answer of P6 equals 0 or equals 6. So these are the comparison between one of the variables with the other. So we confirm that the entrepreneurs with employees are the happiest of these 4 groups, and the second are the one who have unemployed. And entrepreneurs with employee categories and other categories, we continue with the same. This is the other category with question P41. And our conclusions after this statistical analysis is that notwithstanding the foregoing limitation, this study allows us to have a better understanding of the objective pursuit, to analyze the degree of happiness perceived by Spanish entrepreneurs with or without employees compared to that perceived by employees, permanent or temporary, and measure whether that happiness is associated with certain socio-demographic levels such as sex, level of income, and income level, level of studies and income level. This in turn makes it possible to reduce the gap existing in the literature on this type of study. So gender plus level of studies plus income level equals happiness satisfaction, depending on if you are an entrepreneur or an employee. Thank you very much, and this is the end of the presentation.